Hey, Michael Dermer here from The Lonely Entrepreneur. And, a lot of times we'll be asked by the entrepreneurs out there in the ecosystem, how do I develop as an entrepreneur? Like, how do I go from this idea into a business? Like, how do I develop it and how do I build it out? And it's almost like, sometimes entrepreneurs, when they get the idea and it feels like oxygen and they need it to breathe, and we all want to see it get into action. You're like, okay, what next? It's like walking into a car dealership and saying, and looking at a car and all the parts are on the floor, right? As opposed to, we know that a car has four tires and a wheel, steering wheel and an engine. And so what is the entrepreneur development process? Like, what does it take to go from idea to an actual business? So I wanted to kind of lay out the four parts of that. Okay. The first part of that is your vision, right? Is how is it that what you're proposing, your product, your service, whatever it may be, is going to realize the benefits that the world needs, right? So this could be something you're selling to a consumer, something you're selling to a business, something you're selling to a government. You have to be able to paint the vision of the problem that your idea is solving. And the more clearly and concisely you could paint that vision, the easier it gets. You give you, the example of our two businesses, rewarding people for being healthy. Our vision was that there's many, many people that know what they should do for their healthcare. They don't, and they haven't done it for years and years and years, even though they should be very motivated to do it, right? They have to be rewarded to do it, and we're going to provide the platform to do that, right? And rewards is the most important thing you have in healthcare, because if without rewards, you're not going to get people to do that. So that was the vision. For Lonely Entrepreneur, as many of you know, we have our learning community. And we started this because after I sold my healthcare company, we were like, why do people have to go all over the place to figure out what to do? Why isn't there one place to go? Why doesn't that exist in the world? And so that's what we built, right? The vision was to allow entrepreneurs to not have to search all over for answers and struggle, but just go to one place to get what they did. So the first thing you have to be able to do is to be able to not just have your idea, but articulate it into a vision. The next step of this entrepreneur development process is strategy. Okay. And notice I didn't go to launch a website. I didn't go to put up social media, right? Because everybody does that and you're going to do it too. It's just that the next step of bringing this to life is translating your vision into a strategy. And the strategy is, what are the big picture things about why you can win? So I'll give you some strategies. So if you look at like Nike and Asics and Saucony, the strategies that, running sneakers, the strategies they use are very different. Nike created a campaign called Just Do It, right? And Asics and Saucony created campaigns more around how functionally good their sneakers are, right? Lots of runners think those sneakers are great. And yet Nike sells 20 or 50 times more sneakers than Asics and Saucony combined. They both do TV ads, they both do digital ads, but it's the strategy, right, that is ultimately going to set one part for another. Let's go to Starbucks. We all know Starbucks is a part of our lives now worldwide, but if you go back to the beginning, this is what Starbucks said. Even though there's coffee all over the place, we're going to build these coffee shops everywhere. Okay. We're going to charge more. Right. And oh, by the way, if we don't sell coffee, we are stuck with literally millions of square feet of real estate. Imagine if you were the board of directors, right, in that meeting, and you're just like, what are we going to do? Okay. But the strategy they took, if you remember, was to create a place that was a community. Remember in the beginning, it was no, come here and just hang out. Don't even buy coffee. Plug in your computer and meet friends here. Their strategy, which was brilliant, even though there was lots of coffee and there was cheaper coffee, and frankly, in many places, there was great coffee. Their strategy was, we're going to create a place where people go, and we know the rest is history. Okay. So as we like to say, strategy wins. The tactics, the things you do that implement that strategy, those aren't the things that win. It's strategy. So number one is you have to be able to articulate your vision. The next step is, okay, what are the strategies that we're going to create that are ultimately going to help bring that vision to life? Okay. Next, number three, creating a financial plan aligned to your goals. All right, let me say that again. Creating a financial plan aligned to your goals. Okay. So your goals matter. If I want to create Pizza Hut, that's one plan. If I want to create the local pizza stand, that's another plan. Okay. And what you do dictates, do I have to raise money? Do I have to do this? Do I have to do that? Right. So it's really important to think about building a financial plan, right? If it's Pizza Hut, it might be growing to 100 million in 5 years. If it's the local pizza stand, it might be growing to 100,000 in 5 years. The third step of it is I've got my vision. I know the strategies are going to win. Okay, when I implement that strategy, what is the financial plan I'm trying to get to? Right? If I'm trying to sell 10 bananas in year 1 and 20 in year 3 or 30 in year 5, what are the steps I have to take along the way, right? To try to hit that financial plan. Okay. So I articulate my vision. I come up with strategies that are the winners for me, like some of the ones I mentioned. And then I come up with a plan, right? And the cornerstone part of that plan is your financial plan. Okay. And then finally, you create an operating plan. And people are like, well, what does that mean, an operating plan? What that means is that given your vision and given your strategies and given your financial plan, how do I put in place the operational structure to make that happen? Okay, so what does that mean? That means I need 3 things: people, process, and metrics. Okay, I need the people that can own things, own sales, own marketing, own finance. I need metrics to measure how they're doing. And then I need regular processes to make sure we're measuring and adjusting. Okay. And I know when we say the people part, you may not have all those people in the beginning, but ultimately to translate this into success, right, you're going to have this last part of creating an operating plan. So I'll give you my example. Use my silly example of selling 10 bananas. Okay. So you need to sell 10 bananas over the course of the year. That means that you should have some metrics. Of course, it's how many bananas have we sold, but it also should be your pipeline. How many deals do we have in the works? And if we believe that for every deal that's out there, for every 10 deals are out there, we're going to win 1, then we need to have a certain number of deals in the pipeline to have a better chance of success of selling our 10 bananas. And that becomes one of our metrics. It's how much did we sell and how big is the pipeline? But remember, what goes with that is the process. Okay. Every Tuesday at 10 a.m., we're going to have our sales meeting, and we're going to come to the table with seeing how we did against 10 bananas, seeing how big our pipeline is, given how big we think it needs to be. And we're going to measure and adjust and collaborate and bring our creativity to it to try to say, could we try it this way or could we try it that way? Or are my sales materials good enough? Or are we selling to the wrong types of customers? So this operating plan that I keep talking about is, even if you don't have the people part, which many of us don't at early stages, right? It's process and metrics, right? Even if it's just you with an advisor, let's say, for example, you're trying to raise $1 million and the only person you have helping you is a member of your board of advisors, right? Well, every Tuesday at 10 o'clock, you should have your investor meeting where he or she comes to the table and you say, okay, well, we're trying to raise $1 million. We need to talk to 10 people a week. How many people are we talking to, right? Regular process, regular metrics. Okay. So the day we have ideas is exciting. It then starts to translate into oxygen. We need it to breathe. And for those of you who aren't entrepreneurs, you may not understand that, but you know what I'm talking about. And when we take that, we say, okay, I need it to breathe. Where do I go? What is this development process? It's the 4 things we talked about here, right? Get your vision that you can articulate it, right? Figure out the strategies that are going to set you apart. And again, these don't just come to life. You have to be incredibly creative and talk to people and explore. Thirdly is a financial plan tied to the goals of what you're trying to accomplish, right? If you don't have that plan, you oftentimes can go astray. And then finally is an operating plan, a plan that takes your vision and the strategies and the plan and the financial plan you're trying to get to and operationalizes it by creating goals and measures and processes to measure those. And, when even as I'm describing, it sounds so not sexy. It's like, instead of it's just like vision and belief, and I have this idea and it's amazing and go and go and go. But if you really want to turn your passion into success, right, which is what we want for you, you have to embrace this whole idea of the vision, the strategy, the financial plan, and the operating plan, right? To turn this into something that helps you realize your vision and live a more fulfilling life. As you know, we take the journey from passion to success incredibly seriously. And we hope that these tidbits of how you develop as an entrepreneur in taking your idea and turning it into a success gives you a better chance of success in your journey.